This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so you're welcome once again. I want to start by trying to ask that how many people have also used Excel? Because Excel and Power BI, I would say that Power BI is an outshoot from Excel. So what happened is that Microsoft, of course, the two applications is developed by Microsoft. So Microsoft, after they've developed Excel, and over the years they've been having some add-ins like Power BI, Power Query, Power Map, Power Pivots, Power View, and all the likes. So they discovered that it is possible that these strong applications can be combined together and used to develop a standalone application. So they came into that. So they've been testing. Of course, if you look at the whole thing we're going to be doing today, we are also going to be having a version of it that we are going to be doing with Excel. So we're going to be this same dashboard, we can as well build it with Excel and also automate the entire process the same way we would do with Power BI. So some people just look down on Excel. No, because Excel there is an engine in Power BI which is the Power Query, which is the most useful tool in Power BI. That same tool is made available in Excel. It's also in Excel, so you can as well, the same way you can connect your Power BI to different sources, you can as well connect your Excel to different sources to extract your data. So the whole concept of analysis or data analysis has to do with start with your extraction. So before you work on any data, you have to get the data. So in getting the data, you are extracting the data. That means you are connecting Power BI to a source. So I'm going to open a fresh page so you can see. So I'm going to open. So let me open a new page and probably just close this. So today we'll be building something like this. Okay. Okay. So I want to close this page that I was working on before. So save this. So let me quickly share this other page. Okay, so you have it. So what you can see on the screen is just the interface of Power BI. So the first time you open Power BI, it's going to display this interface. So I will also advise you that the recording is going to be available. So you might not need to practice along, just listen and ask questions you get. So once you get, I'm going to make available the data sets. I'm going to make available every of the materials I'm going to be using for this session. So everything will be made available for you, and you now practice on your own. So the whole learning Power BI is not a day thing. So I don't expect that you should not expect that you get everything from today's class. So you can make available, you can get enrolled in a program or do a self-study. So anyone that pays you. So learning Power BI takes nothing less than, of course, for you to be at least proficient a bit. So you need at least over 20 hours of devoted learning for you to even start. So it's not that we all that's just general introduction and something that will make you to be able to just develop and be able to clean and analyze your data. So if you look at this interface, so you can easily connect, you can get data from different sources. So you see, so look at it. I have all of these sources where I can get data from. I can get from all of this. So if I open this, you'll see that, so you can see all the sources where data can be gotten from. So all of this has also been categorized into this subheading. So from files, you see, I can get from a folder, I can get from this, I can get, so we will not be able to explore everything. So it's only Excel that we're going to be exploring today. So you can get from a database, you can get from a platform, you can get from Azure, you can get from online services and other location as well. So you can get from the web, so you can connect Power BI to the web. So the first thing we're going to do is that, okay, let's get our data. That is extracting data. But before we get our data, I want us to see how the data look in how it looked like when you look at it in Excel, because the data we're working with is actually an Excel file. So let's peruse the data in Excel. Okay. All right. So I'm quickly going to show you my Excel screen. So I'm going to show you the first one. Look at it. So I'm going to show you the revenue table. So if you see, as you can see, this is for the revenue. This table is for revenue. So in this table, you have the product ID, you have the products, you have the group. Okay, sorry, I'm projecting the product table. So in the product table, you have the product ID, you have the products, the group, the category, the supplier, and the unit cost for each of the products. So similarly, the order table, so I'm going to close this. So the other table, which is my sales report for 2019, contain order dates, due dates, order number, and all of this information. So in Power BI, building your data model, so you have two types of table. You have your fact table and you have your dimension table. So if you look at it, the product table is a dimension table because it contains only one product. So it is unique. It has one unique occurrence of a product. So it has a unique identifier there. And those unique identifiers, they are not repeated. So for my product table, I'll have each row per product. But for the dimension table, which is the sales report, a particular product can be sold severally. You can sell it in January, you can sell it in February. So that product will always repeat itself. So you have repetition of products. So your dimension table contains your transaction. You call them transaction table or you call them fact table. So these two tables is what we're going to be working with. So now that you know how the table looks like, I'm going to import them into Power BI environment. So importing them into Power BI environment, that is going to involve me connecting to the data source. So I can get data from here. So you see the option for me to get data from here. That is option number 1, for me to get data from that point. So another option for me to get data is, so I can get data from here. So another option is to get data from any of these sources. So you can see, so any of these, so you can get from Excel, from data, from you can enter it manually. So okay, except this will show you the recent sources. So that's talking about the different source where you can get data from. So similarly, you can also come to feed. You can see, you see this. So you have the option for you to connect here. So you can also say get data from field from here. So this page will always display your fields, the different fields you have, and you know what the fields are. They are the different columns you have in your Excel or your file. So now let me just try to erase all the drawings and quickly come in here. So get my data. So I get in my revenue data first. So immediately I connect to that data source, it's going to pull the data and open up a navigation pan for me. So with this, you can see the data. So you can see that this is the same data set we saw in Excel. So this has been pulled up into Power BI. And something I want you to note is that immediately you're pulling up information from any source, Power BI is going to compress that data because Power BI is designed to work with huge data. So it needs to like compress it in such a way that your Power BI file eventually will not be too large. So if it is not compressed, the Power BI file will be too large. So now I have extracted this data. The next thing I need to do is to try to clean up the data. So that is why I will not load. It is not advisable. So it is not advisable for you to load. Don't load your data. Rather, transform your data before loading. It's only advisable for you to transform.
Excuse me, please. The screen that you're showing us is not showing.
Oh, it's
it
not
has not
showing,
changed
right?
from Excel. It's not showing
From the
at all.
previous. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So okay. So thank you for pointing that out. Let me see. Okay, so let me. So immediately so where is the screen? Okay, so what can you see? Okay, I think you can see it now. It's showing. You should be able to see the screen, the right screen now.
Yeah, I think it's changing now. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now I will also monitor it from my end so I can be sure that. So now you see that
No, sorry,
I have
but
this screen.
that just means you might have to redo the whole process. So we see how you pulled in the data and all that because we didn't see it as
Okay,
reviewed.
so okay, no problem. So I was here initially before my screen wasn't showing up. So you see on the screen, I told you the different points where you can get your data from. You can get from here. So the last time I clicked on this to extract the Excel file. Now I want to try another option. That's from here. And I told you I click on the this obviously was because I have connected to this source before. So if I have not connected to this, if that wasn't the last source where I connected to, you get, so I need to locate where the file is. So I need to locate where the file is. For example, now it's taking me directly to where the file is. So sometimes it's not, it doesn't work that way all the time because this was the last source where I connected to. So if this is not the last source, it can take me to a place on the system. So it's for you to now locate where the file is and click on the file and click on open. Once you click on open, it now bring up this dialog box. So I can see that the dialog box is also showing and you can see it. Okay, so on this dialog box, I have the option for me to preview. So if I click on this, I will preview that, okay, am I connected to the right data? Am I connected? So sometimes, of course, maybe you've named a file wrongly. So it's possible that you're not connecting to the right data. So are you connected to the right data? You need to be sure. So you have to do a preview. So I also mentioned that you don't load your data directly. You rather transform your data before loading. So the reason for that is that sometimes you can see some of these null value, these null values, you need to get rid of them. So it's like going to the market to buy raw materials. You don't bring them into the house and take them to the dining. So what you do is you take them to the kitchen, you refine them. So if it is fish, you boil it, you understand. So if vegetable, you have to cook it a bit for it to be edible, for you to eat. So the same thing, data that you want to work with Power BI, you don't get them straight into Power BI environment and begin to work on them, because in real life situation, most of the data that you work with, they don't come clean. So it is only when you are sure that the data is so clean that you can go ahead and just load your data directly without transforming your data. So transforming your data is taken into the kitchen. So the kitchen in Power BI is the Power Query Editor. So immediately you connect to your data source and you pull it into Power BI environment and you do transform. Immediately you click on transform. It transfers the data to another environment, which is called the query editor. So with the query editor, you'll be able to slice and dice. You'll be able to delete some rows, you'll be able to add rows, you'll be able to like remove nulls, number, you'll be able to split rows. You understand? So many things that you can do with the Power Query. So now I'm going to transform, as I've said. So I can see also that you can see my screen. Yes. Yes. So you can see that this is a totally different environment from the Power BI environment. It's totally different. So this is the engine in Power BI that helps with cleaning data. It is the engine that helps with cleaning your data. So taking you through all of this, there are so many resources available, so many tools available here for you to clean your data. So you can do, for example, you can enter data manually, you can see transform, you can manage columns, you can reduce rows, you can split columns, you can go by, you can use false rows, I said that. So if you click on this, you see different options that you have. If you click on this, so you can remove errors. All of this, of course, we won't be able to cover in this one day work. So now you can also see that this, if you right click on this, you have so many things you can do to that column. You can pipe on pivot column, you can remove error, you can also do transformation for a column. So you can fill up or fill down. So for example, if you have the number value, you can fill up or fill down. So you also see that the column is also giving us the column quality. The data set is giving us the column quality. What that is all about is that, look at it, it's telling me that I have 1% null value and I have 99% value that are not empty. So for you to enable this, so what you do is to come to view, you should look at it, column quality is checked. That means I'll be able to see the column quality. So you can also do column profile. So you can see the profile of the column. So you can do column distribution as well. So many other things you can do under your view. So I like to put on the column quality so that I can see the percentage that is empty. So now there are no error. There's no column that is giving me error. That is fine. But I have columns that is giving me null because of these 3 null values. So, and looking at it, ordinarily I know the year. This information is not valid, is not, I don't need this information. You understand? And all of this null value, I need to get rid of them. So how do I get rid of those null values? So the only thing I can do now is to remove the rows that contain the null value. So for me to do that, I need to use a function, and that function here is coming to this point and saying remove. So you see the option, you say remove top rows. This same thing that is here is also available under transform. So if you come to transform, or rather home, you can see reduce row, remove rows. So if you remove rows, you can remove top rows, you can remove bottom row, you can remove duplicates, you can remove rows that contain error. So you can also remove blank rows. So for in this case now, we're going to be removing top rows. So for you to remove top row, you have to also specify the number of rows to be removed. So if I'm going from this point, from the home tab, so I'll just click on top rows. Looking at it, you know that I have 3 rows that are not that contain null value that I need to get rid of. So I have 3 rows that contain null value and I need to quickly get rid of them. And those rows are this, this, and this. So I put in 3 here because I'm getting rid of 3 rows. So the next thing is to click on OK. So once I click on OK, it's going to get rid of those rows for me. But I still have a problem. What is the problem? The problem is that my column name is not giving the right name. If you look at it, this is column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, and so on and so forth. That is not the true name for these columns. So the column name is ought to be the due date, the order date, the order number, the product ID, just the same way we've seen on Excel. You understand? The same way we see in Excel the other time when we did when we explored the data on Excel. So now, what do I need to do? I need to use another thing that is available for me. So you can see that here. Use first row as header. So I have that option to use my first row as header. I can also use header as first row. So, but in this case, what I need to do is to use first row as header. So I just click on use first row as header. When I click on that, it's going to move the first row to the header. Look at it, order date, due date is now my header. And you see that each header, each column has its own attribute. That is very, very important. You can see that this is a date. This is formatted as a date. This is formatted as a date because it needs to understand, Power BI need to understand the kind of information that is contained in a particular column. Because if you don't specify, if you don't define the kind of things you have in the column, it's going to perform wrong operation on it. So you also see that this is number, this is number, this is number, but sometimes these things don't come in correct. Power BI will not all the time give you the correct format. So what you do is to manually check and see that everything is correct. So this is date, this is date, this is date. If I want to change this, I can just come here and change it from here. But I'm okay because this has been converted to date and that is fine. If you look at this order number, Order number is a number now, which is fine, but at the same time, order number is supposed to be categorical. What I mean by categorical is that you don't want to perform, you will not in any situation perform numerical operation on order number. So you are not going to do addition of order numbers. It's not possible. It doesn't make sense. So it makes more sense for me to convert this to a text. So if I'm converting this to a text, am I replacing with the current? Yes, I don't want to add another step. So why is this like this? Why is it asking me that? Do I need to add step? That means some steps are being recorded. As I'm performing every of this operation, my steps are being recorded. That is the automation part of it. What it means is that everything I'm doing, instead of me, the next time I want to do the same thing, I don't have to go through stress. So all I need to do is, sorry, okay. I want to be sure you can see the screen. Screen has been taken off. Wow. Okay, I think it's back. Okay, so if you look at it, let me move the screen to this side so you can see properly. So you can see that you can see something here. It's telling me applied steps. So you can see applied steps, meaning that everything I have been doing since morning is being recorded. So that if I want to do another thing the next time, I can easily adjust a step. So I can go back and easily adjust if I feel like, oh, I have done some transformation and I don't want it anymore. I can adjust that transformation. So everything is recorded. So let's take a look at it. So it's connected to the source. It's connected to the source, which is this. It did a navigation, which was the dialog box that we did. It did a promoted header. So what it did is to promote the header. Then it immediately changed type. Then I removed top rows. You can see this where I perform my first operation here. I removed top rows. I also promoted header. I used first row as column. It recorded that step. I changed type. It recorded that step. You can see. And anytime you do promote header, it automatically change the type. So now let's proceed. But before we go on, I want to quickly erase all of this. And let me just go through the steps and see. Let's see the changes that has happened. So while I was here from the source, you can see I connected to the source, right? It did a navigation, change type, fine. You can see the initial view is now present. You can see that the null value, they are present here. Here, this was where I removed top rows. Immediately you get to this step, you see that top rows is no longer there because this step has been applied. I promoted header. You can see that the header has been promoted. Types has been changed as well. See, types have been changed. So every of the steps I have taken so far are being recorded. So I told you that, of course, this I need to convert it to text. And I told you the reason behind that. So I'm going to replace current. I'm not going to add another row. I'm going to replace. No, now this is product ID, which is supposed to be a text as well. Product ID is supposed to be unique. So I'm not going to be performing numerical operation on product ID. So as well as sales ID is supposed to be unique as well. So I convert to text, replace current. Salesperson is a test, is in form of a test. So that is fine. Supervisor is fine. Team is fine. Quantity sold is fine. It's a whole number. You can't sell half quantity. So you can convert it to decimal. So unit price is fine the way it is. Sales amount is also very okay. So now I am fine with what I have here. So the next thing I need to do is to quickly come here and do close and apply. So close and apply. But because I still need to import another set of data, so what I will do is I will not close the Power Query. I will rather just apply. So all the changes I have made will be applied on the data set, and the data set will be compressed and put inside the Power BI memory. So that is loaded. Then the next thing is to also connect to the other source and bring in the second table, which is the product table. Open. So you see the same process. It's bringing it up. So now this is up. Of course, it's showing me two table here, but of course they are basically the same thing. So what I will do, I'll just pick one, which is this, and click on OK, or rather, let me see, we'll have OK. So I'll click on OK. Similarly, I click on OK. So it's going to show me the query editor, which is this. So you can see the query editor. Okay, so from the query editor, I think I'm okay with all that this has given me. Unit price is fine as it is. Then every other thing seems to be fine. So everything you're seeing here is the M language. We call something M language because the computer will not understand. This is a graphical user interface application, meaning that it is just a drag and drop. But the computer also needs to convert what you are dragging and what you are dropping to a language that it will understand. And that language for Power BI is the M language. So from here, you can see that table transformation column type, this is what has happened here. So of course, we will not be going into the detail of this because of the time. We'll not be going into the detail of that. So you see product ID here, and you see product ID on this other side. Of course, they are supposed to be in the same format. You can see that product ID here is not having the alphabet, those two alphabets that preceded the product ID in the product table. So in the product table, you have PK. Probably it's possible that PK is actually the product, which is P, and King. So you can see product King, product S is product Sent. So you can see that is the acronym that precedes this product ID. So I'll run into a problem if I decide to just go like this. So all I need to do is to first of all remove this so that they will be in the same format. So that the product ID here will be the same product ID. The reason being that these are the primary key for relationship. Power BI works best on relationship because these are two tables. If I want to work on these two tables in Excel, I would rather just say, okay, let me do a VLOOKUP, or I use an index and match, or I use an XLOOKUP to get the information pulled from the product table to the revenue table, or vice versa. I can also pull the information from the revenue table to the product table for me to perform my analysis. But in this case, we're going to leave everything to reside in their individual table, and we're just going to connect them together, leveraging the product ID, which is the unique identifier. So that means that every item here must correspond to an item in the revenue table. If it is named, look at it, if it is named, the product ID here is 1, it is just a number, and the product ID here is a number with a digit, then there will be a problem. So I need to make them to be in the same format. So for me to be able to make them to be in the same format, I need to remove the digit, the alphabet, that is the two alphabets that precede each of these product ID. So how do I do that? I can do that in several ways. So the first thing is to either come to transform and do extract. So I'm going to extract test before, after delimiter. So when I'm using extract, I'm saying that what do I want to keep from this column? And mind you, the column has to be highlighted. The column has to be highlighted. So you select the column that you want to extract information from. So now I can extract after delimiter. Okay, so now the question is, what is a delimiter? A delimiter is something that separates two things together, that separate two items. So from here now, what separates the alphabet and the number? It is just the space that is between them. So I can say, okay, give me test after delimiter. So I can also use all of this. So during our project work with us, of course, you have to use all of this, because we give you scenarios that warrant you to use all of these things to actually analyze the data. So you can say test before delimiter. So if this test before the delimiter and I specify this delimiter as space, then it's going to keep this test. But now I'm saying test, give me test, keep the test that is after the delimiters. So I click on this. So it is going to ask me another question again, that, okay, so what is the delimiter? Hold on, I need to monitor my time. So the next question is, what is the delimiter? So what is a delimiter? A delimiter is something that separates, or something that divides something into two. So something that makes two things stand out. So for example, what's the delimiter between the product here and the number is the space in between it. So from here, it's also the space. So I'll click on this and tell space. So I'll just put a space, just by clicking my space bar. So I click on OK. So just with that, you see that it has removed the test before the delimiter and kept the test after the delimiter. And this is the number. So now I think that's the only transformation I need to quickly do on this table. So what I will do is to come to File and do close and apply, because now I'm done with all my transformations. So I just do close and apply. So I don't want the two windows to be open. So now I have done close and apply. So it's going to apply all the changes. You see, it's applying the changes. So you can, let me bring this here so you can see. You can see my screen. Okay. So quickly, sorry, needed to close something there. Okay, so what you see here now is, so what you see here is our data exported into the environment, the Power BI environment. So you can see that you have your product table with all the columns. You can see also the products at the revenue table. You can see the revenue table as well. Okay. Okay. So now the next thing I want us to do is to try to explain some things here. So if you look at this, this is where you get data. This is your data model where you can create relationship. You have your measures, quick measures. Of course, we can't be covering all of this. So you can assign roles to individual. You can tell Mr. A to see a particular information, or you can deny Mr. B from seeing a particular information. So whatever role you assign here will also be publish into Power BI service. So I think I forgot to mention at the beginning that Power BI is not just the Power BI desktop you have. So you have the Power BI desktop, which is the application we are using on the desktop right now. So you also have Power BI service, which is cloud-based application that resides in the cloud. Of course, the same thing, the same transformation you can do here, you can as well do it in the cloud. Then you have the Power BI mobile, which is an application you download on your phone so that you get automatic updates and reports as you go, on the go rather. So now you see our tables. If you come here, this is the interface for creating visualization. This is your filter pan. This is a visualization that you can create in Power BI. So if you also want more, you can also get more visuals from here, from the get more visuals. You can there's an online resource where Power BI, Microsoft rather, normally put all that kind of visual that are not here. So you can get that and connect to that. So because we are working mainly on Power BI desktop, I don't want to go into all of that. So now let's begin to build our visualization. Before we do that, we know that these tables are different. This is your data view, this is your report view, and this is your relationship, which is your model. Because the core of Power BI is data modeling. And if you get your model right, then every other thing will fall in place. So if you look at it, this is table one, the revenue table. This is my product table. Good, fine. So look at this last one, relationship. This is your model. So this is now the model, the Power BI or data model. So you can see two tables. You can see the columns or the columns in those tables. You can see the columns. Remember these columns in those tables, all these columns. You see, these are the columns in revenue tables. And I need to create a relationship, or Power BI has automatically detected that these tables are related because there is a common field, which is the product ID in both tables. So it has used that as a way of creating relationship. And relationship can be in several forms. So we have a one-to-one relationship, we have a one-to-many relationship, you understand? So it's like a man getting married to two wives. That's a one-to-many relationship. So a one-to-one relationship would be like a man getting married to one wife. So what do I mean by a one-to-many relationship? Because this is what has happened here. You see, there's a relationship between the product table and the other table, and this term is the many. I told you earlier that there are many occurrences of a particular product in the revenue table because a customer A can come in to buy one product, another customer can come in to buy the same product. So the same product will be repeated here because this is just a transaction table. So in your product table, the product, of course, is still the same product, so it's going to be listed once. That's how you have one. So one product can pair up to several other products here. That is this. So I'm going to quickly erase what I've written there. So if you look at it, you can also edit the relationship. So you can go to this and double click. So double click at the center. Once you double click at the center, you see the dialog box. The dialog box contains the relationship. You can see that this is colored, showing that this is what is the relationship is leveraged on. This is also where the relationship is leveraged on. You can see the types of relationship, many to one, which is this. So these are other types of relationship, and it is best to use single direction. So don't use both direction. So what it means is that you are using the product table to filter your revenue table. So you can see the direction of the arrow. You can see that you are using product table to filter this. So you see the direction of the arrow. So now I think my data model is fine. So let me just come to report and begin to do some little visualization. So the first thing I will do is to sorry. So the first thing I will do is to use a particular visual. So for example, let me look at sales revenue. So how do you create visual? How do you bring visualization here? So you can either come to this point and pick a particular visual. So when you click on it, it brings it empty without information. So you can begin to populate that visual. So for example, if I want sales revenue, if I click on this, so you see the first option is to click on the visual. It brings it here. I can drag in sales revenue, sales amount into the visual. So it's going to recognize it. So I can drag in products, or maybe let me just drag in team. So if I drag in team here, okay, you see. So I've been able to plot sales amount and team. So I can also remove them from that visual. Instead of dragging them to that location, I can as well just click on this. You see, it's moved it here. I can also click on team. You can see it here. So I have created my first visual. So the next thing I want to do is to probably use a card to represent my sales amount. So you can see that this is summation of all the sales amount. So in a form of a card, which is fine. But if you look at the card, it has other kind of 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 summarization that you can do. So you can find the average. Instead of calculating the sum, it has given you the average. So this is what we call implicit measure. Implicit measure. So you call this one's implicit measure, and we're going to do explicit measure very soon. So explicit measure is, instead of using this, why don't I just create a measure? So I'll come to new measure and create a measure that will replace this. So at every point I'm bringing in this, it's going to sum up. So it's going to do the summation of every column or every information row by row and give me this. So why don't I just create something and call it maybe revenue? Sales amount revenue. Yes, find the same name, revenue. And now the revenue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a function called sum. So, and I'm going to sum the sales amount. So I'm going to do sales amount. You can see as I'm typing, it's bringing options for me. Sales amount. You can see, I can click on it. So I click on enter, or you close the bracket. So once I click on enter, so you're going to create a measure. So you can see the symbol for this is actually different from others. This is not a column, it is a measure. So this is the sign for measures. So we are still going to create several other measures. So this is sign for measure. And if you now let's compare using a measure which is an explicit or using a measure that's an explicit measure, or just using implicit measure. So let me erase this. Okay, so now this same thing, let me copy and paste it here. So I've done copy and paste. So this same, instead of using the sales amount, let me use the measure instead. So if I click on revenue, you can see that I'm getting the same thing. The reason why you create measure is one, sometimes this one carries the name of the column. So this one carries the name of the column. However, if I don't want the name of the column, I can create a measure. So creating a measure has changed the name of the column. I'll change the name of the of what the variable I want to derive to this. That is one. So another reason is that if you look at this, at the point I put in sales amount, I can also perform other operations on it. But if you look at this is explicit because the only operation you can perform on this is, you can see there's nothing else. You can't do everything, you can't do anything again. You can't do any operation anymore. So, but you can always come to this point if you want to change the operation of this, you can always change it to average. Change this one to average if you want, but of course we are not going to do that, so we're leaving it as sum. So we leave it as sum. Yes, we will not be using this anymore because we are okay and better with this. So this is the first measure I'm going to create. So gradually we're going to be building something that we look like what we want. So now let me create something. So for example, I want an information from this table. So what information do I want from this table? So for example, if I want the sales amount from here, so I click on the sales amount. You see, it's bringing it out for me. Then if I want another information from here, maybe from product, I have products, so I bring in product. So I convert that to a table. I want to see that in form of a table. So I click on table. So let me see. So you can see this lovely view. So why I say it's lovely view is that you can see that there is unique item for each product. So let me increase the font. So if you want to change anything on a particular visual, you let this visual be selected. You come to this formatting pan. So this, you select this. This will help you. This is your feet. This is where you put your feet. This is where you put. This is where you do some other analysis. So okay. So now I want to quickly increase this the font for this. So I come to value. So I do 4K. You can see text size. So I increase the text size a bit. So you can see that is large, So that's large enough for us to see. So you can see that I have different numbers for different products. But if I come back to my friend, my relationship, if I change something from that relationship, oh, the audio has been off, really? Is it fine now? Please, sorry. Is the audio back? Please, can somebody reply? I just checked now. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, is the audio back?
Yes, I have audio here. I don't know.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I saw that some. If we come back here, the reason why we have that is just because there is a filtering across this table. I pick something from, I pick this, I pick sales products from a different table, I pick sales amount from a different table. So it was able to allocate the amount, the sales amount for each of the products because there is a relationship that exists between them. So if I decide to delete this relationship, you will discover that what I have on my report will just be an aggregate. So this amount is going to allocate this amount, this sales amount for each of the products, because it's not able to break down the product because there is no relationship existing between the two tables. So that's the essence of relationship. So for me to create relationship, the other time the relationship was created automatically, but you can actually create relationship yourself. So what you do is you click on this and drag it up here to create a relationship. That is one. So you can also delete and come here and go to, let that one finish up. So you can come to home and come to manage relationship. So from manage relationship, you can see that new relationship. So you can do new relationship by just coming here and select a table. I want a relationship between product ID and revenue. You see automatically has put it there. It has detected relationship between them, one to many, which is fine. That is one way. I can auto detect relationship. If I click on auto detect relationship, it automatically detects, say, found one new relationship, close. So it automatically detects a relationship. You see the relationship has been put here, what it has automatically detected. So you have three ways of creating relationship. So you can do a drag and drop, which I demonstrated the other time. I drag a file here to this other side. Then you can do a new relationship from scratch. So you do it from the scratch. Then you can also do auto detect relationship. You can edit relationship as you like as well. Let me just do a drag. Okay. So I have a relationship now. And if I come back to my report view, you can see that the filtering has happened again. So all of this has just been stories. So let's see if you can use the next 1 hour to build our dashboard. Now that we have all the information, we have built our model, but we still need to create some measures. So let's quickly use 10 minutes to create the measures. So I don't need this table. I'm going to delete this table. So the first measure I want us to create is the revenue, which we have done. We have the measure here, revenue. I also need to know what the gross margin is. So for me to know what the gross margin is, I just need to come to new measure. So I will call this gross margin. Gross margin. So the gross margin will be sum. I call this sum X, and this is also present in Excel. If you have if you're conversant with Excel, this function is also present in Excel. So sum X, what it will do is that it's going to compute this information row by row and add up the aggregate. It's going to compute whatever I put in here row by row. So for me to know the gross margin will be what? Will be, okay, let me not do gross margin first. Let me do cost. I think cost is what I need to do first. So I need to know the cost of sales. So for me to know the cost of sales, that means I need, what do I need to supply for this? So many people can't hear me. So what is the issue? I see so many people complaining that they can't hear. So many has left. Though the video will be available, I beg you that you go through the video. We have limited time. That's why if it's going to be in a normal class, of course, everybody will practice along, ask questions, then before we move on. But now it's going to be difficult for us to do that. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I can.
So I can proceed. Okay. So now I need to do cost. So for me to know what cost is, I need to supply some information. So first of all, I need to get what table am I calculating this from. I'm going to use my revenue table. That's the table that I need to, because those are the information that is going to ask for from us. So it needs the revenue. You can see it needs the table. You can see it asked me for the table, then the expression. So the expression for cost is going to be, the cost is going to be quantity sold. So let me type in quantity. Quantity. I think, yes, okay. You can see the name of the table is revenue and the item is quantity item. So no, now I just click on enter. So I need the quantity sold. Then I need to multiply that quantity sold by the cost per unit. And the cost per unit is in another table. I cannot just directly multiply this. I need to use another function which is related. So I need to use this related, return related value from another table. So I need to click on this. So now what do I need to pick from this table? I need the unit cost. So I click on the unit cost. Then I click on enter. I think this should be. So I have a cost. So I have cost here. So the next one I need to quickly create, I need to go to another measure as well. So I need to get my gross margin. The gross margin now will be the difference between the revenue and the cost. The revenue and the cost. So I click on this and say gross margin is equal to the difference between revenue and cost. Now, I'm not going to be referring to sales amount, because if I'm going to refer to sales amount, it's going to do a lot of calculation, which is not healthy for Power BI, because those computation will be repeated per row. But why don't I pick an information that is already aggregated, and that is the revenue. So if I know the total revenue, I can as well just subtract it from the cost. Look at it. That will give me the gross margin. If I click on enter, that's my gross margin. Then I need another thing. I need to also calculate the gross margin percentage. So percentage gross margin. So I say this is percentage gross margin. So percentage gross margin is going to be what? It's going to be the gross margin itself. So the gross margin, which is this, divided by revenue. So I can just use a slash to say divided by revenue. But most time I don't like to use this. So what I prefer to use is to use the function divide. So I use divide. So it asks me for the numerator, which is the gross revenue. So I supply the numerator, gross margin rather. Then I put a comma. It asks me for the denominator. The denominator in this case is the revenue. So I click, close the bracket, enter. So now I have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so these are the measures I need. So that is fine. And then for all of these measures, I need to just ensure that they are in 2 decimal place. And because this gross margin is actually a percentage, so I need to convert this to percentage. Convert it to percentage. Then 2 decimal place, which is fine. Then for this cost, I want it to be in 2 decimal place, fine. But cost, I also want it to be a currency. So I want it to be currency. Then for gross margin, it's actually going to be currency as well, but I want it to do this. For revenue, I also want it to be in 2 decimal place and to be currency. So I put 2 decimal place. Okay, so that is very, very fine. So what I will do now is to now create another table. Let me use, this time I'm going to use a matrix. So I'm going to click on matrix. So now I need to get the different supplier. I need to get the different supplier on this table. I need to get the revenue. I need to also get the gross margin and the gross margin percentage. These are the 3 things I want to display here. So for this, I also want to, I'm going to copy and paste another. So I have 3. So on the top part, I want to display 3 things. I want to display the revenue. I want to display the gross margin. So this, I'm going to delete revenue from here and put in gross margin. So for this, I'm going to delete revenue and put in percentage gross margin. That's clear. But these are in dollars, and of course, my currency, I don't want it to be in dollars. Of course, I can as well just change that from here. If you come here, you see currency, so you can change that to naira. So I'm just going to go down to where I have any naira symbol. Okay, I can see Yoruba, Nigeria, which will give me, oh, sorry, I think I applied it in the wrong place. You see, I applied that in the wrong place. I applied it on a percentage, which is not supposed to be. So let me try to get rid of that by converting this to percentage. Okay, so this is what I want to change. So I click on this, so which is the gross margin. So we're able to extend beyond 11. Please just bear with me. By 11, we should be done. So I'm going to change this to this. Good. This I'm going to change also for revenue. I'm going to change the revenue as well to this. Okay, this is fine. Perfect. So I noticed that, okay, there are some things I need to do. So first is to get the background for this. So I need to get the background, and I need to quickly do that. I have, without selecting any visual here, you come to this format pan and you come to background. So you come to image, you go to the folder. I'm going to give you this folder, financial data source. So I'm going to give you the folder. So you click on this image, and in our course, we teach people how to create this background. So you can see that this, if I remove the transparency, you see the background is there already. Now, if I fit in, so it's fitted. So now let me begin to place each of these visual correctly on the background. So I can place this here. Is it clear? Okay, so I can also place this here. So let me bring this down. This is still loading. So let me give you some time to finish refreshing. So I'm bringing this one down. Okay. So let me fade it into the space. Okay. Then this, I want these ones to be on top here. I want these ones to be on top here. But now I can add themes to this. I can add themes to this. And if I come to view, you see that I have different themes. So if I change the themes, it's going to change the visual, the way the visual looks and everything. So if I change the theme to anyone, so I can pick from here, I can pick even this. You see, so it has changed the visualization. But I can also import customized theme. So in this case, I'm going to import from gallery. So this is theme. This is also going to be part of the package I'm going to give to you. So I'm going to import this theme. So you see the theme has been imported successfully, and the theme is this lovely theme with white text. Okay, so the next thing I need to quickly do is to now begin to format my visuals so that they look good. Let me start with the table. So the table, I'm going to first just remove every format that is on the table, go to style and change it to none, change the style to none. So I need to make this one bigger, right? It looks small, so I'm going to, so you see how I'm doing it. So anything you want to format, you select it and you come to this formatting part, something like this brush. So you pick any of the elements and really format it. So you see the column header. So I want the column header to be a bit big and I want it to be white. So I click on this, give me white column header. Oh, sorry, that's column background. So I want, okay, let me do grid. So I want grid. So I want padding. So I want row padding. Row padding, we add space to the rows. We make the row to be bigger. Okay. Let me just increase it a bit now. Okay. So I want my text to also be at least 12. 12. Okay. Then I want the column header. I have a column header here. Okay, I want the grand total to be white. Okay, good. I want each of these elements, that's the value. I want the value to be white as well. So I want the font color to be white. So, and you have alternate rows. So I have alternate font color also to be white. Yes, this is looking like it. Additionally, I want to break this up, this supplier up. I also want to add group as a sub level. So I bring in group. So and I have group. So I can drill down for each of the group. You get, so I can drill down. That's the objective. So you can easily drill down. Or let me bring the group underneath. Let me see the effects that we have. Okay, I think it's better if I put it under. Okay, you can see the different group under this, so you can easily collapse. So in our course, I'm going to teach this. If you are going to register for that, So all of these filtering context, of course, we're going to deal with them. So now I quickly want to expand this so that it occupy the entire space and not just so this or what again? Okay, 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 okay. So I think this is fine, but my padding seems to be too big, so I'm going to go back to that and change the padding. So grid, I'm going to change the padding to okay to make it smaller. Okay, so that everything will fit in. Okay, this is fine and good. But the header needs to be bold. I mean, the column header needs to be bold. I will need to change the color to white because I think I want everything to be white, and I want it to be okay, secure bold, okay, single bold. Okay, that's fine. Let me increase the text a bit. So let me change it to 13. Yes, I think this is fine. This is good. But I need to add conditional formatting to this. But before I do that, let me filter by revenue. Let me come to this and sort by revenue so that the one with the highest revenue will be on top, the one with the lowest revenue will be underneath. So for this table, I'm going to come here and begin to change some things. So for the value, for the revenue, so hope everyone can hear me. I need to
Yes, I
affirm.
can.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you. So now for the revenue, I need to add a data bar. So I come here, I go to conditional formatting, and add data bar to it. But I want the color of the data bar to, because this is talking about revenue, and I want to depict revenue here. So I want it to be blue, and that is fine. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. Okay. But this sorting, I want it to be descending, not ascending. Okay. Then the gross margin, this is going to depict gross margin, something green. So I come to gross margin, come to conditional formatting, I go to data bar, I give it green color. Okay, something like this. Okay, then this one, I don't want it to be the same thing with this, so I want to do background color for this. So I will format the background color. What I will do is I'll come to gross margin here, I go to background color, and probably just use a color. So I'm going to use this. Okay, this is what I need, but I need it to be faint for the minimum. So I need it to be very dark for the maximum. But I also want to do a divergent, maybe add something in between. So something between here. So those ones in between will fall in here. So it's going to give me divergent colors. If I click on OK now, I'll have that. You can see. So I have 56 as the highest, and you can see that it's darker than this, and this is the lowest, is light. So I think this is fine. My first visual is ready. So let me go to the second one, which is this. So for this, I'm going to add something else. I'm going to break up this amount into the different supplier or the different category. So let me add category to it. All right. So I'm going to click on this. Let me click on this visual first and add category. Click on category. So I've added category to legend. You can see that this legend is also depicting something like percentage gross margin, which I don't want. So I can change the color for that so that it's going to be something dark than this. So data color, we change this one to, so yes, something like this. Yes, something like this would be fine. Or let me use this. I think this is fine. Okay, this is fine. But for this as well, I want to add something to it. I want to add the data label. So I put on the data label. You can see I put it on. You can see that it has reflected here. The data label has reflected. Do I want to have sales amount, team, and all of that information reflected? Yes. Okay, let me leave it. Do I want to make the category to be okay? Let me say category legend. Category is on legend, right? So I'm going to format the legend. So the legend, I'm going to make it the center. So I'm going to put it at center, top center. It will move this at the center. So I think this is fine so far. So far, so good. This is fine. So let me begin to format each of these cards. So I'm going to start with one card. I'm going to duplicate the card. So I'm going to delete this other card. So I'm going to do one format on one of the card. So I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So what I will do is I will do it on one and do copy and paste on the others. So for this, instead of me using a card, I would rather use a multi-row card. So multi-row card will give me the name of the, it will give me the name and the text and the description. So now let me edit this one. So the first thing I need to do, that text looks so small. So I need to enlarge it. So I go to card, I need to, oh, the padding. Okay, title. Do I need the title? Yes, I need the title, but I need to also edit the title. So then, oh, okay, let me put a better title. This is revenue. Okay, so I want to add maybe operational revenue, or operating revenue, or operational revenue. So since I have that on the top, what I would do is to get rid of the one underneath. So I'm going to do that by putting off the, so I'm going to do that by putting off the, I'm going to lead data label. So category. So let me remove category. Okay, that has gotten, yes, that's what I should do. So category. But for the title, I need the title or color to be white. I think I need to use white throughout. And I need it to be at least 12. Okay, it's bold, which is fine. Then I also need to do something to the data label. So I want the data label to be white. Good. So I need to increase the size a bit so it stands out. So I'm on 22 now. Let me see what it's going to bring up for me. Okay, this is huge. 22. So let me reduce. Oh, it's even 36. So let me reduce it to maybe 26 or thereabouts. So I have 30 minutes. I need to be very fast so I can conclude. Okay, let me leave it here. Okay, this is fine. This seems to be very lovely. There's something else I need to quickly do, which is the last one. Under the card, there is show bar. I don't want this bar to show. The bar is gone, so I need to remove that bar. So now this is good. I need to just copy this and paste and move it here. Let it align properly. So instead of me putting in revenue here, I put in gross margin. Put in gross margin. So the format will still remain, but I need to quickly edit because that name will now be title will now be gross margin. So change this to gross margin. Change this to gross margin. Good. So the next one is I'm going to copy this as well and put it here for the last one. And this time I'm going to remove the gross margin and put in percentage gross margin. So I need to also edit and change the label or the title rather. So I'm going to change the title from gross margin, or let me just add percentage gross margin. So you add percentage gross margin. All good. Okay, so I have this. Fine. So a few things to go. The next thing is a line chart here. But for me to create a line chart, I need to have a date table. So I need to have a date table. So what I will do is I'll come to I want to enter data from home. Okay, let me just use this. This is not creating a date table. This one, let me just use this one since I'm here already. Let me use this one to put all my measures because all the measures I've created applies to the entire data model. So I want to put them somewhere. I don't want them to belong to a particular table. So I can just put them and call these ones key measures. If I call them key measures, then I can click on load. So I'm like creating a folder where I can put in those measures. So you can see there is a table now called key measures. So what I will do is I'll come here. I'll come to the, yes, while still here, I'm going to come to revenue. You know, this is, I click on this, hold on the control key, click on cost, click on margin, gross margin, and click on revenue. And try to move, okay, click on this as well. Try to move all of them to key measures because they are actually measures, so they should stand alone. So you can see them here as measures. So this one have an arbitrary column, so I'm going to delete that. I don't need it. Okay, so this is fine as it is. So the next thing I want to do is to do here. I'm going to do new table. So the essence of this is I want to create a table. Okay, let me quickly explain. I want a table that will be for my dates because best practice ensure that I have a separate date table so that I can use that date table to filter any table, either my fact table or my dimension table. So I'll create a date table, and there are two functions to create a date table. So you can use calendar. So you can use calendar or calendar auto. So with calendar, you have to specify the start and the end date. But with calendar auto, you don't need to specify the start and the end date. So all you need to do is to just put calendar auto. It will automatically go through your data model, all the information you have in the data in the model, and picking the minimum date and the maximum date, and create every other date for every day in between. So if the minimum date in my data model is March 10, 2021. And the highest date there is March 16, 2021. So what it's going to do is going to create date for March 10, March 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So with that is what calendar auto will do for you. So now let me use calendar auto. I will do that automatically. Why do I need to bother myself? Click on enter. This is going to be the name of the column. You see, it's created date. You see, the created date from January 1st till you can see something here. Because in my data model, I have the information for a whole year. So it has created date for 365 days, which is a year. You know, the information I have in the data set, in the data model is actually for 2019 alone, only 2019. So that is why you have that. Okay, so the next thing I want us to quickly do is so now that I have this date, this date is not the name. So if I it's not the name of the column, it's not the name of the month. So I want to do a month trend analysis. So let me look for the date. Okay, this is the date. So if I bring in this date here and try to create a relationship, it makes sense for me to create a relationship with the due date because I cannot, I'm talking about finance. It is when the income is due to be received that makes sense than when the order was actually made. So the due date is what makes more sense for me. So I'm going to use the due date and connect it to the date here. So with this date, I'm going to do a lot of transformation, which I cannot do on this. That's why it is good to have a separate date table so that you can do so many things in terms of date. You can decide to, okay, so let me come back here. So let me do an area chart. So I bring in an area chart and I bring in from the date table, I bring in the date. It has automatically created different hierarchy. This is what we call hierarchy. Of course, in our main class, we treat hierarchy in detail. So it has created several hierarchy. It has created hierarchy for in a year, I have quarter. In a quarter, I have month. In a month, I have days. You understand? So I don't need all of this. I need only a month. So I'm going to leave it as month. So if I want to get the revenue for every month, so I click on revenue as well. So let me go to key measure and use revenue. So you can see then you can see that the names are so too long. The name of the month is too long. So how do I ensure that the name of the month is short? That means I need to create a short form of that name. But before I do that, let me go to the y-axis and ensure that the y-axis starts from 0 because it can be misleading if it doesn't start from 0. So you can see the adjustment has been made. So it's starting from 0. That's very important. So I'm going to also switch off the y-axis. I don't need it. So I'm also going to have the revenue here. So let me put it off and remove the title as this title. Okay, that's gone. So I'm going to switch off everything. Okay, which is fine. But you still have the date. Date is still long, very long, and I don't want it this way. So what I will do is to come back to my data model, go to my date table, or come here rather, and go to this date table. Then now add new column to this, and create a month, a short form of a month. So if I want to create another thing, I can say month name. I say month name. So month name this time is going to be format. So whatever I want to format the date as, so the value is going to be this date. So I'm going to pick in the date from the date table, which is this. So that is the value. So the format I want is this. So if I bring in 4M, So you're going to convert it to a full month. So you see, months, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So now, even though this is what I want, I still want it to be, short. I want short, so I can just delete one M. So once I delete one of the M, it's going to give me the short form. So it'll give me the short form of the date. You see, January, February, March, like that. So let me come back to my report. And now, instead of using this date, so I'm going to use the date, the month name, instead of using this. So I come back here. So I'm going to delete all of this and use the month name, which is shorter and better. But the month name is not also arranged in the order I want it. You can see November, October, December, but this is not the order I want. So I'm still going to come back here and do one transformation. The next thing I need to do is to add another column. This time, the column is going to be for the month number. So this is going to be month number. This is going to be month number, or just let me put month number in short. So this is going to be month. So I'm going to format the month. So I'm going to go to month. Then I'm going to then put the dates. It's asking for a date. So you see, return a number from 1 January to 12 December. So I'm going to put the dates. So I'll just type in dates. So I'm typing dates and close the brackets and click enter. So do I still have people here with me? Or we've all gone? Okay, 7 people, that's fine. So you can see I have numbers. Okay, so I have numbers, and okay, so now I'm going to do some filtering. So I'm going to filter this month. I'm going to filter this month name by the month number. So it's going to filter by the month number. That means it's going to filter whenever I'm filtering, it's going to be by the month number. Let me come back to my report and see if that has been adjusted. Okay. Okay. So let me help the situation by just saying sort by month name. Oh, sorry. Okay. So let me go back to this. This one. Okay. Sorts by month number. Okay. So let me go back to your report and see. Sort by. Okay. I'm just sending this way. Because that's rearranged. Okay. So it has sorted it in ascending order. But I'm still having December, October, November, which is not what I want. I want December to be the end. So let me say by month name. Okay, I think this is fine now. So I have January, February, March, April, May, to the end. So this is fine. You can see this is revenue by month, and I have operating revenue here, which covers the whole of this. So that means I don't need to repeat the headers. I'm going to delete the header. Then let me just expand, so it's cover everything. So we need to quickly do this. Okay. So I need to remove the header. So I'll just come here and remove the header. So title. So I'm going to put off the title. Then I'm going to change the color, data color. I'm going to change it to white. Make more sense. Well, the background is blue. It doesn't make sense for it to be blue again. So that is fine. So I'm going to copy this and paste. This is revenue. So I'm going to do the same here. And let me know that for gross margin. Then the axis, the x-axis, I'm not going to switch it off, but I'm going to remove the name, the title. I'm going to put off the title for the x-axis. I'm going to put off the title for this as well. So I'm going to put off the title. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to also remove this because I'm talking about gross margin here. So I'm going to remove this from here. I'm putting gross margin here. So I'm going to go gross margin. So gross margin and month name. Okay. Then I'm going to put this as data color to be white. So white. So I'm going to also put this here. Copy paste. So I'm going to put this here, and this time, as you all know, it's going to be the gross margin percentage. So I'm going to delete gross margin. I'm putting gross margin percentage here. So you see gross margin percentage across. So, but I need to also change this to the data color to be white. I think it's more like it now. It's coming up gradually. There's something else which I want us to quickly do. So I want to bring this up and duplicate. So I want to calculate something that will give me the highest. I want to calculate something that will give me the highest score from this analysis. So what I need to do is to reformat this and probably reduce the data label that was 26 before, maybe reduce it to maybe 12, which is fine. Then I want to do a filtering. So out of all for this one, so I'm not going to use revenue, I'm going to use date. So it's going to look at the date, the month name. So I'm going to bring in the month name here. Then I'm going to do top N. In our main class, we treat this as a big deal. So we treat filtering for hours. They are able to just run through it. So filtering, I'm going to do top N. So I'm going to give me the top N and N being 1. So it's going to give me only one item that is the highest. But it's going to filter by what? By revenue. Give me the highest revenue. So I'm going to put in revenue here as well. I'm going to bring in revenue and put it here. Because I want to filter, I want it to give me the highest revenue. So immediately I apply, please just take a look at this. Take a look at this value. Immediately I click on apply filter. See this value? You can see it has changed to 1 million. Meaning that what is meaning is that the top number, the top month is actually 1 million. Look at it. So if I come to November, which is the top, you can see the same value with what you have in that box. You get, so it's the same value, which is fine. That is good. So I need to now create something that will give me the name of that month. I need to create something that will give me the name of that month. That is the first month. So how do I need to create that? I need to create a measure for that. By this time, the measure I'm going to create okay. So this measure, I'm going to call it name of highest month. highest month, name of highest month will be equal to, I'm going to start with a test and say best month or best month is. That test, I'm going to concatenate it with, I'm going to use the and, this ampersand, to concatenate it with another function, which is select. So we call that select. So select value. So it's going to be whatever date, whatever month name is selected. I'm going to use month name. So what this is telling me is that whatever month name is selected, it is what you are going to display for me. And you're going to put best month is, give me the selected month. And the selected month here, based on this filtering, is November. So it's going to give me November. So let's put enter. Okay, now that I've created a measure, and let me do for, okay, this is the measure. It's hanging out here. So I need to bring the guy back to be with its colleagues here, where other measures are. So it came here. So, guy, come back. Come back to key measures. This is where you belong. Okay, you see it here. Now, if I come back to report, and here I bring in the key measure, let me come to field and add the month with the highest name. So if I bring it here, you can see how this came out. Very good, just with a measure. Say best month is November. Okay, that is good. I'm going back to the report. So if I go back to the report, then I need to format this. That means I don't need this operating revenue anymore. I'm going to delete that operating revenue, which is the category label, right? Or the title. So I'm going to put off the title. Then the category label or the data label. So I'm going to, okay, that is white already. So what is card title? Okay, so card title is blue. So we change to white. Best month is November. So let's increase it to 12 so it's visible a bit. Okay, so the same best month is November. That is auto generated. Just calculated. I'm going to copy this and just do a paste. I don't want to be bothering myself. So I have 5 minutes more. So whatever I get to, I'm going to copy. Okay. So I'm going to bring this here. Oh, I think I copied the wrong thing. So this is what I want to copy. Copy and paste it. So I'm going to bring it here. So when I get here, I'm going to change that revenue here to gross margin, right? That's obviously what I should do. Okay, you can see that the value has changed as well. So I'm also going to copy this and copy and paste. Okay, so I'm going to bring it in here. Then I'm going to change this gross margin to percentage gross margin. So you can see percentage gross margin. And do I need to change anything on that month? So let me go to filter. Okay, yes, I need to change something here. The filtering here, you know that the filter, it was let me see what did I use here. I use month name, I added revenue, right? And okay. Okay. So let me just do something before we go. So now this is fine. This is good. This is perfect. So I need to add slicer to it. So I go to visualization and I'm going to add slicer. So I'm going to add where is my slicer? This is my slicer. So I add my first slicer. Oh, I'm going to run into a problem. So I add the slicer. Then what do I want to use as slicer? I want supplier as a slicer. So you give me a drop down of supplier. So I'm going to do a drop down, not a list. So I'm going to just keep that here. So I'm going to do a copy and paste and do for so I'm going to do for maybe category. Maybe I should just use category. Let me use category. Then I'm going to also do the last one for months. So the last one, so I'm going to add month name. So I'm going to remove category and put a month name. So you can see all the months. You can see it. For the category, you can see the category that exists. So like that, so you can see. So if you want to filter, so you can bring in a category for drink. Okay. So you see that this is changing as well. This is changing. This is changing. I come to a particular month. If you want to clear your filtering, you can just come here, clear, come here, clear the filtering. Okay, yes. But with your permission, I can still do 5-10 minutes so that we can just conclude. So do I continue? Over gone. Oh, just 6 people left. So this is late. Okay, so I'm going to end here. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best as you learn Power BI. Thank you for your time and see you any other time. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. I appreciate your time.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll get the recording ready and send it so that you can repeat all the things we've done.
All right.
All right.
Fine. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.